All right, let's return to the story. The brutal gang rapes of 8 women in Krugersdorp on the Westland has put illegal mining activity back in the spotlight. The National Police Commissioner says special teams have been set up to tackle violent crime in mining provinces. Let's speak to a former Zama Zama or illegal miner for some insight. Lucky Seekooi is now the Northern Cape Artisanal Miners Association chair. Mr. Seekooi, thank you for being with us. As a former Zama Zama, what was your reaction when you heard about the violent gang rapes near an unused mine?
We are really saddened about the situation that has actually occurred because of there is criminal element which is actually trying by all means to discredit this program of the artisanal miners in particular. So what we are saying that we need to deal with the criminal element which is actually erupting in our space.
So the program you're talking about is whereby Zama Zamas become artisanal miners, which is legal mining, and then you can fully take part in the economy.
Exactly my point. We have actually started that. We have been advocating for legalization of artisanal miners, and also we have actually told government that artisanal miners can actually be regulated, because of now what has actually brought these artisanal miners is because of most of the people who were actually just retrenched by the mine, or the mine has actually closed, in most cases, those, the Mozambican and Lesotho, who were working in those mines, they were just dropped, they were just left in those mines, and then having nothing to survive, you understand? So that is exactly what has actually prompted the situation, Yes.
All right, so you're saying there's a lot of desperation. In your experience, yes, how likely are Zama Zamas to be involved in other crimes? So illegal mining for the ones who still operate in the dark, that's one thing. But here we're talking about rapes in broad daylight, gang rapes.
This thing of gang rapes that is actually happening, it is not actually something that we as artisanal miners could actually advocate for, We are just advocating for legalization of artisanal miners. Yeah. But gang rape, this thing of gang raping, wherever there is criminality, the police must actually act. And then those criminals must be actually brought into book.
Sure, but what I'm saying is how common is it, would you say, in areas where Zama Zamas are operating?
I would say that in most areas, such things, these things have not actually occurred. There's incidents that have been occurring now lately. It shows that we need to actually act, and make sure that these things are not actually happening, more especially in our space.
Things like mass shootings have been blamed on gang activity, and we've seen in the past, like in 2018, groups of Zama Zamas seemingly organized start shooting at each other. Are there a lot of gangs? Is there a lot of organization? And are there turf wars going on in a lot of areas where there are unused mines?
Yes, there is Zama Zamas which are fighting. Particularly, they will be syndicate those who doesn't want to go underground, but they will want to actually come and control those who are going underground. That is where there would be this kind of stuff. There are people outside there who are not actually working, but once those who are inside getting mineral, going out with those minerals, then they will be waiting for them to come and drop them. That's where the test actually starts, So we are calling on law enforcement to actually assist with this regard.
Yeah. So you're saying the Zama Zamas themselves become vulnerable.
Yes.
In your mind, could it have been a violent gang, people who are not opposed to sexual violence, who could have perpetrated something like this?
Can you pardon, please?
Could it have been a gang that swooped on these women and perpetuated the gang rapes?
I won't actually even say that. Yes, indeed, there is certain things. There is whereby you'll find out not just an individual, just raping. Like even those people who have actually raped, we are not sure whether they are really Zama Zamas. But if they are Zama Zamas, we as Zama Zamas, we are saying this is not what has actually brought us to what has actually came about the Zama Zamas. Barbaric element, we must deal with them decisively. And within our space, we are going to make sure that we are going to mobilize that those elements, we get rid of them, as soon as possible,
What is your experience? You said earlier that Zama Zamas are often driven by desperation and maybe they worked for a mine before legally. There's a perception. So my question to you is, are most Zama Zamas people who are in South Africa illegally?
As I've said, that most of them, they were actually working for mines. And then the mines closed, and then they were still waiting for maybe other investors to come in. When you go to other areas, Zama Zamas were actually forced to eat even baboons, while they are waiting and then not getting a re-employment, waiting, hoping that somebody will come and invest in the mine, and then that has never happened. So they end up going underground themselves, going to search for this gold and whatever mineral that they could get, so that they must survive. And then in most areas, even copper test, it has taken a space whereby now a mine is closing. After closing of the mine, then people does not actually get employment. So most of them, they went into that space, and even still copper. Once this thing, it works for a certain individual, and then he goes home, he will come with other people. Some of them, they will be not having documents. And that is our question now, to say that how did they actually enter the country, people who doesn't have documents, because we know that people who have documents are the ones who have to enter the country. Now, that space is also full of people who doesn't actually have documents, and then that we cannot actually control, because we don't know how to actually enter the country. Yes.
Policing is an issue. Underground, there's this whole underground network and these mine shafts that I'm sure Zama Zamas get to know very well. If these people involved in this crime wanted to hide, are there lots of places they could hide where it would be very difficult for the police to find them?
Yes. There's a lot of places to hide in the mine shaft, because of the mine shaft is the same as the city. There will be a lot of holes where you can go. There's a lot of trenches that are actually out there, and they know all those places because of they live inside those mines, so they can hide from the police easily without the police. You have to be trained. You have to know those areas.
All right, thank you very much. That was Lucky Seekooi. He's now Northern Cape Artisanal Miners Association chair, saying many Zama Zamas are simply desperate. They are actually eligible to work. They just don't have the work in the mines. I wish we could have continued with that discussion.